So everyone is constantly talking about how braids are a protective style, but that's not always the case. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to actually wear braids in a protective manner and in a way that is good and supports healthy hair growth. So braids can only be a protective styling option in as much as they support the standard practices that we know to do when it comes to healthy hair growth. So with this in mind, here are 4 tips that I would recommend you using when you're thinking about installing braids. First of all, you want to install them firmly but not too tight, especially around the perimeter of your hairline. This is obviously where the hairs on your head are the finest and the follicles on your scalp are the weakest. Also explains why when people tend to lose hair or experience traction alopecia as a result of braids, it's usually around the nape and around the edges. So opting for knotless braids instead of your traditional box braids is a good option to help avoid pulling on your roots too much and straining your follicles until they begin to wither over time. Tip number 2 is favor medium to larger parting sizes than smaller ones. Having more hair in each braid means 2 things. 1, it means the tension that you're placing on the scalp is spread over a larger surface area, which will in turn minimize the damage caused by that tension. And 2, installing 17 medium-sized plaits on your head will be less manipulation and accumulate less damage than 250 micro braids. Basically, just consider the amount of manipulation that the style will require to achieve when installing, but also when taking down. Number 3, linked to number 2, is the smaller the size of the braids, the less frequent you should be installing that style. Again, damage might be unavoidable, but that doesn't mean that it happens overnight. It's cumulative. So the goal is to slow down the rate of damage that you are inflicting on your hair. Or better still, the goal is to preserve the health of your hair. And so in that sense, wearing extra small braids once a year will be much better for preserving the health of your hair than extra small braids back to back all year round. And 4th and finally will be take breaks in between your braid installs. Give your follicles a break. Even if they might not feel very heavy, your follicles were just not designed to carry that much extra weight around all the time. Any extra strain on your follicles can weaken them over time, making them less efficient at holding on to the hairs that are in them, but also causing them to produce finer and finer hairs until they just stop producing hairs altogether and die. So to be safe, I would recommend wearing braids for a maximum of 2 to 3 times per year, evenly spaced out and for about 6 weeks each time. Happy braiding!